happy that you are joining us for another in our series. Welcome to Vibrant Faith Ministries. This is one of the most eco-friendly, faith-based environments that you're going to find in Antigua and Barbuda. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say in the entire Caribbean. What we're going to be talking about today surrounds the topic of Fathers and Daughters Day, bonding through creative writing. And with me, I have a father and daughter combination. Yes, they are related by blood, biological father. And so I have Kevin Liddy, the father, obviously, and the daughter, his elder daughter, Angelique Liddy. And they'll be sharing with us today. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, lady. Good afternoon. And so, as an eco-friendly church, we believe that family is very important. Family in terms of the relationship between man and woman, through the way that God has stated it, through marriage, as well as passing on specific values to the next generation through what we call intentional parenting. And part of that has to do with passing on your values, your ethos, everything to the next generation. And so Kevin Liddy and his daughter Angelique have broken history. How have they done this? Through entering, first of all, as father and daughter in the Wadadley Pen Creative Writing Competition in the year 2021. This is an annual creative writing competition, and it was launched in 2004. VFM has had a long-standing record in this competition. At least within the last 7 years, we have had persons who would have been positioned in the finalists, at least the top 3. As a matter of fact, in 2020, Miss Cheyenne Daru, one of our quality generation, we affectionately call them the QGs. These are our children. She was the youngest ever to go home with the Wadadley Pen competition. Her story was Tom the Ninja Fighting Crab. Listen, since 2014, VFM has not just won, but placed in the top 3 positions and or received honorable mention. I think you need to let that sink in. Yes. So we're not just a church where we praise the Lord, hallelujah. We do that a lot. We love to worship through song and dance, but we believe that God has placed with us an intellect that is able to penetrate every area of society. And so we're here to have a sit-down conversation with this father and daughter who would have broken history. Kevin would have placed first in the competition overall, and Angelique would have placed third in the competition overall. And so we're here. We want to thank them for joining us here. All right, so to both of you, I would like to start by asking the question, when and why did your exploration with with creative writing begin? When did it start and why did you start? I'm going to start with you, Angelique, and then Dad could answer.
I don't really remember when, but it was a couple weeks before the Wadadley Pen competition, like when you had to submit the assignments that, like the poem or story.
Yeah.
Why is because everyone in the church was doing it, so I had to.
So you were pressured into doing that? Imagine that. So everybody in the church. So there's such a thing as positive peer pressure. And so at Vibrant Faith Ministries, we do that a lot. We kind of, quote unquote, pressure people. But it's good pressure because guess what? She never, before this Wadadley Pen competition, you never dreamed of doing this. And now, imagine, weeks before and emerging third place. That is an achievement. Congratulations again. Kevin Liddy, I would say this again to you. The same question. Why and when did your exploration with creative writing begin?
My exploration with creative writing started when I was in Cub Scouts, when I was 6 or 7. And this is I won't say my age, but it's a long, long, long time ago. I would say over 40 years ago. I think my Cub Scout leader asked me to write a piece for a dying pastor. And I wrote it, I think I still have it actually. And it was about, it was a kind of a poem, basically thanking him for his life and just trusting God for his healing. He had cancer.
Okay.
And it touched him, and then that started my journey into creative writing.
Okay.
So subsequent to that, I entered, I think it was a writing competition for songs in America, and I placed, and they wanted to produce a song, and I was only about 14 at the time. Other than that, I've been known subsequently to write poetry through the years, but never entered a competition for creative writing.
Right. So then this leads us into the next question. Why? Or what inspired you? I would want to add here, who inspired you to enter? Would that be pen?
I didn't enter, my name was put down.
Pressure again?
and I said, oh. But the great thing about that was that I would have seen it, and I probably could have done it, but I don't think I would have done it.
Okay.
And my name was put down by Margaret Irish. And
put it out there.
And she said, you are writing a piece.
Okay.
So I said, well, if I'm writing a piece, I may as well write a piece. I thought about what I was going to write,
yes.
And storyline came up, and the rest is history.
Anjali, did you have the same pressure that your dad had? What inspired you, or who inspired you to enter the Daddy Pen competition?
Who inspired me to enter it was my dad. He basically just kept on telling me that I should do it, and that because I started it, then I put it down for a couple of weeks, and just finished it like Edwin. The same person that my dad previously mentioned mostly inspired me to.
Margaret Irish, so she's an inspiration. All right, so kudos to you, Margaret. If you're watching this right now, kudos to you. Your pressure is working. All right, so now let's talk about the story that you submitted. Angelique, I'm going to start with you. What did you write? Is it a short story poem? And what is it about?
I wrote a poem about the beach. It is about describing the beach and telling the good things that could happen at the beach and the bad things that could happen. It was describing the beach in the first couple, I think it was 2 stanzas, and then it was about someone diving into the ocean and someone being saved.
All right, so let me just dig a little bit into your personal life here. Why is it that I know that Cheyenne Daru, she wrote about the ninja fighting crab last year, and that was based on her fascination with all things in nature, more specifically around the ocean, the beach, and she's actually an avid sailor. So, could you tell me what inspired you to write about the beach? Is it that you are, you love the beach? What is it?
The beach is just a part of Antigua, and I swim, so.
You just threw that right away. I swim, so. You know, I did my investigation, and I understand that you're a national swimming athlete. Is that so?
Yes, I have been to regional events.
Yes, okay. Okay, congratulations on that as well. So I think that had a role to play as well in your poem. Kevin, tell us, what was your story or poem about, and what inspired it?
So I wrote a short story called Mildred, You Ain't Easy. And it basically, I like to use my creative thinking and writing to explore topics that I personally go through, as well as general society.
Yes.
And one, I'm an avid beach lover. I love Fort James. That was the background of my story.
Okay.
And I also like to watch people who are have mental illness, in terms of just to understand them, understand what they're going through, and just to know that they have a journey just like all of us, and not to shun them. And so my backdrop of my story is about a character whose name is John.
Yes.
And John basically is on a journey to Fort James in Fungi and Pepperpot, and also to do some fishing.
Yes.
And while he's on his way, he's having a conversation with his friend Mildred.
Yes.
Who is I would say she's a taunt, she's a tease. She likes to tease him because John went through a very nasty divorce, and he basically was sad about it.
Yeah.
And Mildred didn't like his wife, and she was never for the marriage.
Oh, okay.
And so what happened was they were having a dual conversation, and it turned into a bitter argument.
Wow.
And in the end, John hit Mildred when they reached Fort James.
Wow.
Very sad. And so in the end, it turned out that there was no Mildred. It was a split personality.
Wow, what a commotion.
Definitely.
So we've been talking about individually the story, what inspired you to enter the competition and so on. But Kevin, could you share with us how has this process affected the relationship between you and Angelique, your daughter?
It showed me that our family, our Liddy Julian family, we are creative people.
Yes.
My grandfather used to carve worryboards.
Yes.
And so that talent was not passed on to me, but that spirit of creativity was.
Yes.
So I said, hey, maybe if I'm not a worryboard carver, maybe I can use my thinking in terms of creative writing. And then Angelique, who is a thinker as well, very inward, we're both inward people. And I discovered she liked to write, but her poetry is very unique in that she writes from the third person perspective, and sometimes she lets her environment becomes the character.
Okay.
So I said, wow, she has a talent that we need to explore together.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so then how can you encourage fathers to bond with their children through the creative process? So as you mentioned, your grandfather was creative in one way,
Yes.
in the productive of creative arts, as it were. But you were able to bond with Angelique through creative writing. What encouragement can you give to fathers to bond with their children in this creative process?
What I would say to dads as we are celebrating Father's Day is to get to know your child. Sometimes we look and see the outward side and we don't explore who they really are. What are their hidden talents?
Right.
But many times children will say, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. But you have to find out what exactly your child can do and get behind them. My daughter's an avid swimmer and we got behind her with that. But in the creative side, which is another side of your brain,
Yes.
I've always encouraged her, you need to tap into that part of you that would create more socialism, that would create more creativity, and writing does that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have each of you, starting with Angelique, share a portion. So you don't have to share the entire poem because we want to send the audience back to the That Depend website where you'll see the entire pieces, the pieces in totality. And so Angelique, could you share a piece of probably your favorite part of your poem with the audience?
I will share one stanza.
Thank you.
A calm wind, a gentle breeze, chopping down of milky content fruits, trees moaning, birds calling, looking for food.
Awesome. So I would love to be on that beach, when that fruit is dropping and I'm feeling that breeze. All right, Kevin, could you share with us a portion of your story? Probably, I would love to hear that commotion.
Okay, I can do
or
that.
something shortly before that commotion.
I'll do that. So let's go.
Yes.
He was marching now. He was pissed. And as usual, when he got angry, the Creole that his socialization and education had repressed erupted. Must say, man, I want to talk about them, you diff. A litany of expletives proliferated the air. People who lived nearby came out to see the commotion was all about. Mildred, me gonna knock you if you don't hush your mouth, screeched John. Calm yourself, cried an impassioned Mildred. His story of loss had always been the tipping point of John's outrage. And again, Mildred's interference was the catalyst that resurfaced these memories. He felt his heart pounding. Oh, he was on a roll now. The people in his peripheral vision began to disappear. He was caught up in the memories. Fort James was in sight, but the promise of fishing in peace was gone. Mildred would not shut her mouth. She too was on a roll. Don't blame me because your wife left you, she screamed. You know, John, it's your fault that she left you. You are to blame. Look at you now. You still can't control your anger. That's how you got in trouble in the first place. Whap! John hit Mildred in her mouth.
Woo.
She screamed at him again. You're such a loser. He gave her another blow.
Oh.
This time Mildred was on the ground. An audience gathered, watching the man on the sand beating and talking to himself. The rain began to pour, and they scattered, leaving the deranged man with the fishing rod and crocus bag by himself.
Wow. Listen, you need to read that entire story. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you to the ladies for being here. We really enjoyed the time with you, and thank you, Kevin, for being an example of what it means to be present, especially in the lives of your children, your daughter. And so, family, thank you for being with us. Wait for another in this series where we're looking at how can we as a community strengthen families, strengthen societies, and by extension ourselves. God bless you until we meet again.